Welcome, I'm April Davila for Sit Right Here, and this is First Page Fridays, where we look at somebody's first page of their manuscript and we do a detailed edit of it. If you would like to submit your first page, there's a link below in the show notes. Go ahead and click there, send it in, we'll put you on the list. And if you are working on a novel, just a quick note that this is what we do. If you would like some help in taking your manuscript, you're writing from pretty good to great, drop me a line. We can help you out. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Move myself out of the way. And now keep in mind, I have not even read this yet. We're going to read it together for the first time, just straight through, and then we'll jump back up to the top and start working on what we can fine tune a little bit. I will also note that our system tends to make the formatting a little wonky, so we no judgments on the formatting. Chapter 1, The Scene of the Crime. Ella Merriweather's fingers trembled as she inched open the stout oak door. The library was deserted, all dark corners and shifting shadows. She covered her mouth, fighting the urge to gag as she pushed the door wider. The familiar scent of old books had vanished, overpowered by the sharp stench of chemicals, the smell of murder. Trying to ignore an uneasy feeling someone was watching her through the slitted visor of the suit of armor, she crept into the room. Her gaze darted up to the office at the head of the staircase, where darkness pooled like spilled ink. She hesitated, torn between the safety of the corridor outside and this opportunity to explore the crime scene before Lachi arrived. Beside a leather armchair, blue and white tape wreathed a marble plinth where a bust of Julius Caesar bust had stood guard with proud blank eyes until 4 days ago, when it was used to murder her godfather. Ella's throat tightened as she forced herself to examine the dark green carpet. Thankfully, there were no visible traces of Cornelius Raven's blood. Flashing another suspicious glance at the suit of armor, Ella crossed to the far side of the room, where the door leading to the summer garden was boarded up with more police tape, crisscrossing smashed panes like bandages concealing a wound. Okay. So, first thing I like on this is very, very clearly in our genre, right? And chapter 1, the title gives it away a little bit that this is the scene of the crime, but the author doesn't waste any time getting to it. We know that her godfather was murdered with the bust of Julius Caesar, that these are pretty well off people, that the murder is fairly fresh, right? Because this character, Ella, is excited to be there before. I forget when she said the inspector or the detective. We'll get to that. So right off the bat, we have the question, like, who killed the godfather? Is Ella going to be able to figure it out? And that's kind of the beauty of this genre, is that often in the first page we talk about, like, what is the question that is posed? And in a murder mystery, the question is always who done it. So this does a very good job of dropping us into scene with a specific person in a specific place at a specific time and asking that question, the who done it question. So let's jump back up to the top and take it line by line. Ella Merriweather's fingers trembled as she inched open the door, the stout oak door. The library was deserted, all dark corners and shifting shadows. Now, sadly, M dashes now in this day and age reek of AI. It sucks. Like, I like an M dash too, but at this point I'm trying to weed them out because people just assume that that means that AI wrote it. I'm going to assume this wasn't AI. And just put a comma there. All dark corners and shifting shadows. She covered her mouth, fighting the urge to gag as she pushed the door wider. Okay, so I'm gonna put in some line breaks just to help us read it here. The familiar scent of old books had vanished, overpowered by the sharp stench of chemicals, the smell of murder. So this was the first moment where I was like, chemicals are the smell of murder. So what I'm getting from this, just so that our author knows, is that this is someone who has enough experience with murder that it's not like the smell of a body or the smell of blood, but it's the smell of chemicals, which makes me think, is this someone who, like, works in I don't know, police work or embalming, or I don't know. So I think, unless you're trying to open up those questions or give us a hint that this is someone who works, like, in some sort of chemically dominated version of dealing with death, I might take this out, but let's leave it right now. We'll come back to it. Trying to ignore an uneasy feeling, and I would put in a that here. That, and again, that's, yeah, I know our copy editors in the room can hop in the comments and give me some feedback on that. But just for clarity's sake, again, first page is all about clarity, trying to ignore an uneasy feeling that someone was watching her through the slitted visor of the suit of armor. So we haven't introduced the suit of armor. I get, like, it does a good job of kind of setting the tone of this room, but you might want to orient us a little bit to that. So trying to ignore an uneasy feeling that someone was watching her through the slitted visor of the suit of armor, in the corner, just like giving us a little context of where is this suit of armor, since we haven't introduced it in the room yet. She crept into the room, her gaze, and you know what, you could, if you were rewriting this as a first page, you might give us the suit of armor as part of the description, like her gaze darted up to the office at the head of the staircase where darkness pooled like spilled ink. Because I mean, we get that it's a library. It has a stout oak door. It's mostly dark, so I guess it makes sense we're not getting a lot of details yet. But I wonder if there would be a way to introduce, like, as you're describing the office, to introduce that idea of the suit of armor before you say that, it, like, you feel the weirdness of, like, someone's watching you. That might help it land a little cleaner. Her gaze darted up to the office at the head of the staircase where darkness pooled like spilled ink. Okay, she hesitated, torn between the safety of the outside corridor and this opportunity to explore the crime scene before Lachi arrived. Lachi, I'm assuming that's like the... You could clarify here before, and I'm just making a guess here, detective or inspector or whoever it is, Detective Lachi arrived. Beside a leather armchair, blue and white tape wreathed a marble plinth. Okay, so again, is this still at the top of the, because she has pushed open the door, but then she's hesitating in the corridor, so she hasn't actually gone in yet. And I think that's kind of where the, like, okay, the suit of armor, wait, okay, no, she crept into the room. Her gaze darted at, okay, so she looks up the staircase to the office. She hesitates between the safety of the corridor outside. I'm getting a little confusion around the geography of this. So is she still outside? She's crept into the library. So where is this corridor? Because to me, it's reading like she's at the bottom of the staircase, right? Because her gaze darted up to the office at the head of the staircase where darkness pulled. She hesitated, torn between the safety. Okay, so why is it presumed that it's not really so much about safety, it's about fear, right? She's no safer in the library than she is at the top of the stairs, still inside the library, but it's about fear of what she's going to discover. So I might change this, afraid of what she might discover, and yet reluctant to relinquish this opportunity to, okay, so I'm just gonna, afraid of what she might discover up there, but unwilling to relinquish the opportunity to explore the crime scene. Okay, so that wording is my wording. You would want to make it your own, of course, it's your story. But I think what we're getting at here is rather she's not still out in a corridor, she's at the base of the stairs and she's hesitating because she's afraid of what she might discover. I guess we're still talking about a fear, but we're not talking about a fear for her, like, safety, right? That's the distinguishing factor here. Beside a leather armchair. So now I'm assuming this is still up at the top of the stairs. So maybe have her slowly, no, she, adverbs. I'm not against adverbs, but if we can do better, then we do better. She inched her way up the flight upstairs. And again, maybe inched isn't the right word. Maybe she hurried her way up the flight. It depends on how much time does she have before Detective Lachi arrives. You can, again, you know your story. You'll fill that in. So let's get her up the stairs, right? Beside a leather armchair, blue and white tape wreathed a marble plinth. Okay, so I'm trying to, so we've got an office. So I was picturing like a desk, right? What makes the office? And is it a separate space or is it just, you might even change this word to desk. at the head of the staircase, but that's also kind of weird to like have a desk right at the head of the staircase. I'm having trouble picturing this. So she looks up this, I'm picturing kind of an elaborate library because we have, a suit of armor, right? I'm picturing just big. She looks up the staircase, and when I picture office at the top of the staircase, I picture like a wall with a door that goes into an office. That doesn't quite seem to fit with the image that I'm getting in my brain of this library. So I maybe might change this to a desk let's say desk on the landing at the head of the staircase. And that way it's like walk up the stairs, there's a landing, there's the desk. So it's not like a separate office. I don't know. I'm trying to do the best I can with what I'm imagining from the words that you have put on the page. You, of course, will need to make it what you see in your head, but that's how I'm picturing it. And then behind the desk, so I'm assuming the armchair is behind the desk. So let's, rather than introducing something new like the leather armchair, let's just say beside the ornate wooden desk. I don't know. Let's just say ornately carved desk. I'm trying to have it match the style you've created here. Desk, blue and white tape wreathed a marble plinth and blue and white tape. I mean, police tape is usually yellow and black, right? It's like warning, crime scene. And actually, I feel like you've got this, here, more police tape. Now, maybe, I don't know, maybe this is a British thing. Maybe this is Constable Lachi, and in Britain it's blue and white tape. I'm not going to change it because I'm going to assume you have your reasons, but I'm writing from America. I'm reading from America. Caution tape is usually yellow and black. So this took me a second to be like blue and white tape. I was picturing like painter's tape. I don't know, but that's my bias that I'm bringing to it. You can clarify a little bit by putting caution tape. Wreathed a marble plinth where a bust of Julius Caesar had stood guard with proud blank eyes until 4 days ago. And I like this kind of like boom, like breaking it up. It kind of gives a sense of tension, even if it's not perfectly grammatically correct. Until 4 days ago when it was used to murder her godfather. Okay, so it's been 4 days since the murder. I'm curious. So she's definitely not the first person in the crime scene. She's just trying to get there before the detective, but presumably the detective had been there. It's been 4 days. So you might want to clarify, like, what is the urgency here? If it has been that long since the murder, what is the urgency? I don't know, since I don't know your story, so I'm just going to leave that one. You might, if you wanted to remove that question altogether, you could just take until it was used to murder her godfather. Like, just take the 4 days out of it, and then as you get into the story, you can explain more of like the urgency and the timeline and all of that. You don't necessarily have to do that right here. So I'll just go ahead and do that until it was used to murder her godfather. Ella's throat tightened as she forced herself to, here, and I'll go ahead and put in a break here. Ella's throat tightened as she forced herself to examine the dark green carpet. Thankfully, there were no visible traces of Cornelius Raven's blood. I like that you get his name in here. That's great. This is actually really nicely done in terms of the way that you're introducing characters. Like, you start us right off the bat with Ella, and then you introduce Detective Lachi, which feels totally natural. Like, he's kind of the time pressure. And then down here, well, Julius Caesar is technically a name, but like, he's just a statue. And then you get us the name of the godfather. I do wonder, even on a dark green carpet, if someone is murdered on it, I mean, the best maids in the world, I don't know if they're getting out all traces of blood. Also, what is she looking for if not blood? So like, she examined the dark green carpet for blank, 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 for what she didn't, even if she doesn't know, like, does she know what she's looking? This is an opportunity to like tell us. Does she know what she's looking for? Does she not? Even if she doesn't, maybe call it out. She examined the dark green carpet for what she didn't even know, or for traces of blood, or some sort of clue. Give us, what is she looking for? Thankfully, there were no visible, and depending on how much you add there, you might need to make this a start of a new sentence. Thankfully, depending on how you run this, there were no visible traces of Cornelius Raven's blood. That's a very aristocratic name, by the way. Love it. Flashing another suspicious glance at the suit of armor, Ella crossed to the far side of the room, where the door leading to the summer garden was boarded up with more police tape. Now, this definitely caught my attention. It's not boarded up; it's just taped over, or is it boarded and taped? So the crisscrossing this. So I would, because the panes were smashed. I get that it was boarded, but there's like a lot happening in this sentence. So Ella crossed to the far side of the room where the door leading to the summer garden was boarded up. I might clarify that. So where the door leading to, okay, here's how I would do it. I would go far side of the room. The door leading to the summer garden, the window panes in the door leading to the summer garden had been smashed, and cheap plywood put in place to let's say smashed and boarded up with cheap plywood, period. More police tape, crisscrossed the door, like bandages. More police tape, crisscrossed the door like bandages concealing a wound. I'm not wild about door being repeated here. The window panes in the door leading to the summer garden have been smashed and boarded up with cheap plywood. More police tape crisscrossed this the door. You don't want to get too weird with like the portal or the opening, because that just calls attention to itself. More. What if we said the frame? It's like the door frame, right? So it's like over the door, like bandages concealing a wound. That works, I think. Okay, so the only other thing I would add to this is that I'd love to get some hint of who Ella is. We get that she is a goddaughter, but that's about all we get. Is she old, young? Like, is she a teenager goddaughter, or is she like, a middle-aged goddaughter? Or, goddaughters don't even have to be all that much younger, right? I have no idea how old she is. Could you put us somewhere in the world, like here the summer garden, like the traditional English summer garden, or leading to the summer garden? This would be another opportunity to tell us like when. Dormant in this upstate New York. I'm totally making things up here. Winter. That's not ideal, but like looking for, like, if you can tell us this would tell us it's winter, would tell us it's New York. Winter kind of sets this dark tone. You can play with things there. So, and then Ella, when she crosses, like if this is a character who's young and spry, does she kind of prance up the stairs? Or if she's older, there's opportunity to her, like, she struggles up the stairs for her bad knee, giving her trouble. Like if she's middle-aged, give her a bad knee, right? That's something us middle-aged people deal with. But like look for ways to hint at who Ella is, even just a littlest bit. I love that you introduce her right off the bat, but there's probably some opportunity in here to give us just a little bit more of who she is. But all in all, this is a really good first page. It puts us right in scene. It introduces the question of the story. It has tension. It has a cool setting. All in all, I think it's really good. So thank you to the author who submitted it. I appreciate it. This doesn't work without you. If you would like to send in your first page, please see the link below. And don't forget, if you're working on a novel, I am here to help anytime. Reach out. Let's talk.